Kirsten Liebelt. Good to see you. It's Monday. OMG. How was your weekend? God, I hope you had such a good weekend. I was so busy, filled with so many good things that I just cannot complain. It was glorious weather here in Minnesota. Very, very beautiful. So I hope you had a really good weekend. So if you do not know anything about what we do here, we go live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, unless it's a holiday or I'm out of town. P.S. FYI, I'll be out of town Thursday and Friday this week. So I will not be live on Thursday, Friday. All of the replays are on the YT. So go over to the Y, the UT, and you can see all of the replays. Like we have a year and a half, people, a year and a half of really, really good conversations that we have had together. And so good morning, you guys. Good morning, Terry. Tennessee in the house. Good morning, sweet lady Patty. Good to see you, you guys. So good to see you. So I will be off on Thursday, Friday. But today, what I wanted to talk about when it comes to insulin resistance is why meds, diets, and quick fixes don't heal the real issue. Good morning, Geraldine. Good to see you. And you know what? We talk about this all the time. So I know that this can sound like, this is common conversation amongst us girls, because we always come at this from sleep, stress, inflammation, and sugars, right? So we come at it from all of the different areas because you know what? Listen, are you just not freaking so tired of nobody giving you answers so that when you go to tweak your routine or your situation, or you go to tweak, whatever, you think you're doing everything right. You're just so sure that you're doing everything right. And you're like, I still can't lose a pound. I still feel like trash. I'm still not this. I'm still not that. And you just feel like maybe you're not making the strides that you see somebody else making. You're not making the, you're not getting the results that somebody else is getting. Well, then let's just talk truth when it comes to, diabetes and pre-diabetes. There are many factors that go into this. This is not just a one size fits all the time, but that's why I love helping you guys tweak. And then I tell you exactly what I do and what I've done, because listen, I grew up in a type 2 home. I grew up in an insulin dependent hypodermic needle insulin vial in the refrigerator home. My dad was Italian, 100%. My whole Italian family, tons of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Like this was like normal. Like the Minnesota State Fair, and I've talked to you guys about this before because we just had it. The Minnesota State Fair is massive and it's amazing. And people come literally from all over the country because it's such a great state fair. But the food is just like next level off the charts, right? So the food is like, wow, there's so much bad stuff for you. But that's how I was raised. We would go to the state fair every single year. And we usually went on Labor Day morning, very early before the rides opened. And so as a child, you were like, why are we still here at the pancake breakfast? But you would just eat and eat and eat. And we never knew how many times a year my dad actually went to the fair. Because he would go, it's only a 10-day stint, but he would go just for lunch and he would meet friends there all the time. And so food was just this huge piece of our puzzle, right? And we didn't know any different other than to just stop at every Dairy Queen. You saw, go to the Minnesota State Fair, eat as much as you possibly can before you pass out and you go into a food coma. Like this was the way that I was raised. And so I understand the whole concept of we do talk about food when it comes to insulin resistance. Like this is super important. But today I just want to go through the list and remind people, or if you're new to this concept of turning back around your insulin resistance, which you can do 100%. And I'm not a doctor, but I do listen to doctors that will say the same thing. I love listening to Dr. Ken Berry. I like listening to Dr. Eric Berg, Maria Emmerich. It is 100% reversible. You don't have to live with this. It's not meant to be a life sentence. It's not meant to be a terminal diagnosis. It was for my dad, dead at 63. I don't even know if I can say that D word on TikTok. Gone at 63. But I'll tell you, like, the narrative in you and your family and your legacy can completely change. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So good to see you guys on a Monday morning. So good. All right. So basically, hold on, let me grab that. So we've been told a lot of half-truths, in my opinion, about diabetes. That is, just about sugar, that meds will fix it, that carbs are the only problem. I mean, don't get me wrong, we limit them here in this world quite a bit. And that once you are diabetic, you're stuck for life. Those are a lot of half-truths. They are not the truth at all. Happy Monday, Sue. Good to see you. Very good to see you. Claudia, good to see you. So today I want to break this down in a way that will finally make sense and give you hope. Like, let's get some encouragement going today. So number one, diabetes is about sugar only. It's only about sugar. Well, not quite. So most people think diabetes, too much sugar in the blood. Truth is that sugar is the symptom, not the cause. So it is a multi-layered conversation that we have. And that is true that too much sugar in the blood is one piece of the puzzle, but we'll add in the other pieces today, okay, so that you can understand. The real issue is insulin resistance. So long before it shows up in your blood, long before you get here with the sugar in your blood being high, you have a hormone insulin over here that is high all the time, and it's staying high all the time, and you don't even know it. Nobody has pulled a fasting insulin on you, most likely. You don't even know you're insulin resistant. You're guessing, and you're kind of like, throwing together some symptoms, and it's not that hard to figure out. And most everybody is, so your chances of being insulin resistant are pretty high. So it's not like it's rocket science to figure out. I don't want anything to feel like this is so hard to do that you're just going to then lay down and quit. Like, don't do that. This is not as hard as you think it is. Hi, everybody on TikTok. Good to see you. Jump on in from the balcony as we talk about insulin resistance. So your cells stop listening to insulin. That is the biggest issue, is that you have a cellular conversation going on. Excuse me, I'm going to just wipe my nose. I don't know why this morning. I think it's the chilly air. I went for a walk and I'm like, oh, I can feel that fall coming in Minnesota. It's like, anyway, it's all good. But it's a cellular conversation. Your cells stop listening to insulin, so sugar piles up. And this is where the backup happens. This is where the log jam happens. So yes, over years and decades, you're spiking your sugars because you are eating a standard American diet, and it is trash. It's bad, you guys. It's probably way worse than you think it is. This is where you almost can't overemphasize how interesting of a situation we are in right now, because we literally are. What we do at the Minnesota State Fair actually is now what we do every day, or your state fair or your county. We just do it all the time now. And I will tell you that is definitely like not cool. This is causing problems. So you're spiking your sugars, and your pancreas is releasing insulin all the time, over and over and over again. And so as you're doing that and your cell is resistant, your cell has closed the door, that's when all that sugar is piling up, and it's going to be stored on your body as fat. And this is where you're sad and mad and frustrated. It will be fat. Okay. And then you're like, why do I have all this belly fat? Why am I gaining all this weight? Why have I tried for this? I mean, you guys are in my inboxes literally every day. I have been doing, I've been eating clean or healthy for the last year, and I can't budge a pound. And that's where I can help you accelerate what you're trying to accomplish. That's where I can help you tweak what you're trying to accomplish so that you can actually get the results that you're looking for. So lowering your sugar with meds doesn't fix the insulin resistant piece. It's important. You need to do that. And sometimes you can do it without meds. Like, that's why we talk. That's why we chat all the time, right? Because we want to be able to do it without that, if at all possible. But it's really not a sugar problem. It's more of a signaling problem when you get right down to it, okay? Because your body is not listening anymore. It's like your cell is going la, 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 la to the insulin, trying to bring the sugar into it for fuel. It's done. It's like over. It's like exhausted. Okay. So I can see I'm like dropping on my TikTok. That's really funny. Part 2, the myth. Just take meds to manage it. Meds like Met or shoddy shots, it's like mopping up a flood, while the faucet is still running. That's what that's like. I'm going to fix this. My dad was on 2 insulin things a day, thingamajigs, you know what I mean? And right in his belly. And he had to do it all the time, right? He had to do that because otherwise his insulin was just going to be very off base. But it was very, very hard to manage that. It was very hard to get that proper. So he would eat all the wrong foods in the morning, like Cheerios, Rice Krispies, grape nuts, Raisin Bran, like sugar. And then he'd put skim milk on them, sugar. And then he'd put saccharin, chemical. And then he would take all of his meds off of his Lazy Susan and he'd shoot insulin into his belly. And then it would all try to fight inside of his body to make it work. And then he wasn't even safe to drive until like noon. Now he owned his own business, so he'd be on the phone. He had his yellow ledger pad, his legal pad with all of his notes and everything. And he'd be calling his employees and doing the things that he owned furniture stores at this part of his life. Prior to that, he owned Italian restaurants. So this is the part that I saw because I was an adult at this time. And so he would make all of his phone calls and everything, but he couldn't drive downtown Minneapolis, right? That wasn't going to work because he wasn't safe to drive. So meds are not the answer. They are a tool, but they aren't going to reverse it. So this is where when my brain understood this part, like, okay, so he had this Lazy Susan full of meds and then he died. And so I'm not understanding, like, why didn't this help him? And I kind of like went through this whole thing in my head while I'm not taking care of my own self at the time. But I'm wondering, I'm questioning, and I'm like, I don't get it. And the epiphany that I had was, oh, none of these were meant to reverse anything or to heal anything. There is no script that heals. Think about it. There are herbs that can heal. There are modalities that can bring in, like healing factors. There are ways that you can support your body to do its own healing because you were created, you're wonderfully made and God created your body to heal itself. And so you can do all of these supportiveness pieces of your systems. But not one script was ever created to heal. It was only created to manage, right? So meds like Met or shoddy shots, like in your belly, like my dad did, it's literally like that analogy. You're mopping up a flood while the faucet is still running. So they can lower your sugar, but they don't heal the insulin resistance. Long term, you'll end up with more side effects, not less disease. Okay, so that's kind of a really important component. Many people actually get worse on meds alone. If that's all you do, many people get worse. So you don't manage your way out of diabetes. You reverse it by fixing the root cause. And so that's what we address here all the time is root cause. So number 3, carbs are the only issue. That is a myth. Carbs are not the only issue. Barb, if no legumes, is it a no to eating fresh green and yellow beans in season? Oh, Barb, that's a great question. Green beans are super low in carbs. So they're about the only bean, and yellow bean, I'm going to assume is the same, but I don't know for sure. You could look it up. Green beans are like 7 carbs per cup. They're really not that big of a deal. Pinto beans, black beans, kidney beans, when you are insulin resistant, they're like 40, 45, 50 grams of carbs a cup. And easy to eat that much when you're eating, right? Like I used to make ham and bean soup all the time with northern beans. Loved it. Oh my gosh, it's so hearty living in Minnesota. But when you are insulin resistant, that's too high. So I think you could look up the yellow bean, Barb, and just look up like online, say what's the nutritional, status of yellow beans, but I have a feeling you'd be okay. Cindy, I guess I will look up the standard American diet. Oh, Cindy, I know. It's so sad. I have to laugh because if I don't, it's so sad. You guys, I know. I seriously was like the biggest sugar addict. I was a 2X at 50 years old. Like, God, I so understand everything. Like I really, really do from a very authentic place. It's been my whole life, my whole life. And I just wanted to be normal, right? Um, and so the whole food conversation was really hard on my heart. It was like, I don't know if I can understand this, right? But now I've watched it. Now it's actually hard for me to go places like the Minnesota State Fair because I can see everybody's sick. Everybody's sick. Most everybody. And it's like, your heart, right? So anyway, or people just I'm not going to go there. People just don't listen. People that are around you, they don't listen. I know so good, Cindy, ham and beans. I know so good. I made a really good ham and bean soup. I could still do it. I would just do it differently now is all. I should probably do that and then share it with you guys. So you were on Met for 4 years ago. It didn't do anything. So stopped it because of the harm it causes. Stopped cold turkey. Mm-hmm. And everybody's making those decisions, right, for themselves. And I've had a lot of people get off a lot of meds, and you don't do it with me. That's the part that you don't do with me. What the part that you do with me is the targeted supplementation that I'll talk about. I will walk journey with you. I will help you tweak. I will give you every resource that I possibly can. Like when you come and you're doing the total body reset and you're like, I have this question. What about this? What about this? I will walk journey with you and I'll give you even more free content, right? Like in the group, we do that 5-day challenge that's free, but I'm not your physician. So you do have to walk that journey with your doctor, but many, many, many of you have gotten off of meds, many of you, because you've woken up and you've started to assess yourself and ask questions and actually take it become your own advocate and take control of your own health. You hate all other beans. Well, that's good, Barb. See, you're already ahead of the game then. You're already ahead of the game. So, all right, let's get to number 3, carbs. So cutting carbs helps, but it's not the full picture. So yes, we talk about, I follow a lot of Maria Emmerich information. Full carbs, not net carbs, no cutting corners, none of that baloney, schmaloney. Like you're just trying to live on the edge, and then you will be frustrated and you won't lose the weight that you want to lose. And I'm not going to do that to people. I know how much I've had to tweak. I'm also going to make sure that everybody knows that it's just like with my business, right? So the business that I build online, doing social retail, like I do, it's like when I coach other women to do this business, it's like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Everything is a learning. You learn a skill and you execute your skill, and you have to have consistency, and you run it like a business, right? We're running a real business. So it's the same thing with food. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sugarcoat it. But I'm not going to do that. Like I do have to tweak and tweak and tweak to get the results that I want. Just like everybody else. Like very few people can just like up and lose weight overnight, right? That's probably somebody who's not insulin resistant and doesn't have to heal their body. Okay. Stress, sleep loss, toxins, and inflammation also drive resistance, not just carbs. Okay. So your cortisol spikes, means that your blood sugar is spiking. You're eating processed oils. That means that you're wrecking your metabolism. It's not just bread, it's the whole metabolic storm. So when I talk to you guys, and I go into this in depth in the group when we do our challenge, I talk to you about, listen, if you already have high inflammation in your body because you have high insulin in your body and you can feel it, right? Like you wake up and you ache, or your joints hurt, or you just feel that inflammation. You can feel it in your fingers. You can feel it everywhere. And you're like, this is frustrating. That's when I talk to you about turmeric, right? So the turmeric that I have is 45 times more absorbable than what you can get out in the marketplace. It's phenomenal. You can deal with your inflammation. You can also stop eating foods that are adding inflammation to your body. So I eat very low inflammation. People are like, why would you say grain-free, sugar-free, and legume-free? Well, because I don't want you to spike your sugars, but I also, how do you think I feel the way that I feel? When I wake up and I don't ache, I don't get out of bed and go, ow. No, that might happen if my lower back is out of place or my plantar fasciitis on my right heel. Like, my heel gets kind of goofy, which actually is, I have learned, it's a calf muscle issue. So I'm stretching my calves. I digress. But aching, I don't ache. But that's because I eat low inflammation, and I literally take my turmeric every night before I go to bed, two of them. Okay. So cortisol, I talked to you guys last week about this. That's when I talked to you guys about the ashwagandha, because, oh my gosh, you guys, like I was out of it for 3 weeks recently because it was on back order. And I guess I didn't realize that my sleep was being affected. And go back and watch the replay. Did we do sleep on Friday or Thursday? I don't remember. Go back onto YT, the UT, and check out the replay, because one of them is sleep. And we talked about, how do you know? Actually, there's a reel that I just did. You could just go do that. That's a shorter answer for you. Go back and find the reel from Saturday that I posted. I think I only posted it on Instagram though. But anyway, about sleep and what does it mean if you need melatonin or ashwagandha or magnesium or whatever, all of these different pieces. And ashwagandha helps you with the cortisol spikes. I don't think I realized that maybe my cortisol runs high because my sleep was not super yummy when I ran out of my ashwagandha. And I thought, well, it's just because of the events that are going on in the nation and things like that. But the second, and I do mean the moment that I started back on my ashwagandha last week, I think it was Wednesday, immediately amazing sleep. Woke up again this morning, amazing sleep. That's my fix. I have ashwagandha and magnesium that I take, that a specific magnesium. Both of those together fix my sleep. So sleep, stress, inflammation, yes, carbs, yes, sugars, but this is a whole body picture, right? So number 4, type 2, if you are type 2, it's not a life sentence. It's not, and you can always look up Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Eric Berg and Maria Emmerich. And there's so many of them that will talk to you about this. The heart doctor, this heart surgeon, Dr. Is it Ovadia? Philip Ovadia, I think might be his name, talking about how he knows what causes heart disease and it's not what they're telling us it is. And he's worked on over 3,000 people. But most people are told that, once you're diabetic, you'll always be diabetic. And that's not true. It's actually not true. So false. The body can heal. Lifestyle changes can normalize sugars in weeks. You can begin to have more normal sugars. Then you just have to heal the inside system, right? Lifestyle changes. Muscle, nutrient-dense foods restores insulin sensitivity. Like building muscle, like getting muscle, stabilizes your blood sugar. Countless people reverse type 2 when they are given the right tools. Countless people. It's not a destiny, it's a reverse dysfunction. So because it's a cellular conversation, you can change the health of your cells. Absolutely. And then the last one is, what are some things that you can actually do right now to turn things back around so that you feel like you have a little bit? It was Friday, Deborah. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for remembering. Hold on. I know. High carbs, Sharon. Yes. She said split pea and ham soup. I know it is. It is. It's so hard. Been working on this for 14 years. I feel so much better when I eat better. I do go off 2 or 4 meds that obviously didn't make that much of a difference. I haven't changed my weight at all. I hear you, Charlene. You are so not alone. You are so not alone. Well, let me just give you guys a couple of tips, and then I'll go through the supplementation so that you can decide whether or not that resonates with you, because this was just the decision that I made. And it's because my dad was on so many meds and he had such a lazy Susan full of medication that as I was not dealing with my own insulin resistance. I was gestational diabetic when I was 22. And then by the time I was 50, I was a 2X in size. My weight just kept going up, 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 up. And it wasn't, but during that time, I still had these moments of clarity. I had these moments of memories of my dad. And I'd ask the question in my brain, so I don't get it. If he was on all those meds, why didn't things change? Yada, yada, yada. So when I decided to finally deal with something when I was 50, I absolutely, I was like, I have to take a different route. His route didn't end well. He was gone at 63. I'm not interested in that. So I did supplementation, and that's how that changed everything for me. So number 1, you do have to control your carbs. You really, really do. If you will focus on, it's why I give away a free protein blueprint. I don't know if you know about that or not. A free protein blueprint. And the reason why is because it will help you to understand proteins that do not spike your sugars. And the reason why that is so important is because oftentimes people are getting their protein from marketing. So, like for instance, maybe Quaker Oats will say, eat this oatmeal because it has 12 grams of protein. And you're like, ooh, I need protein. I'm going to eat that. Well, the problem is that when you're eating grain and legumes to get your protein, this is when you're spiking your sugars and calling on more insulin. So you do have to change that. So I am going to show you quickly where to get the free protein blueprint, and then I'm going to chat about it for 2 seconds. So my site is my first last name, KirstenLiebelt.com. KirstenLiebelt.com. Okay. And when you get there, this is what you'll see. You'll see my name at the top, and it says your metabolic reset starts here, or starts now. Starts here naturally. And that is exactly what we're doing. We're working to reset your metabolic status. Okay. Then Deborah took dated notes. You're amazing, Deborah. What about using a CGM? Tina says, yes. If you have one, use one. This would be so helpful because it would actually help you to know that what I'm saying, you could track it for yourself. You wouldn't have to feel like you're just listening to noise. Track it for yourself. Find out for yourself what happens if you eat a cup of pinto beans or black beans or whatever. And you know what? Then if your body is good with that, then you have an answer for you, right? But over the next 2 hours, what happens to your sugars? Okay. So here we go. So here's my name. And then you're going to see, these are the 4 things I'm going to talk about quickly right here. But then just scroll here. You'll see my before and after pictures. Free resources are right here. And that's the free protein blueprint right there. Okay. So you can grab that. Now, what I do is I'm teaching protein from the perspective of animal-based protein. So like meat and eggs has very little, if any, it doesn't even have carbs. Like it's not going to spike your sugars and call on hardly any insulin. Every time you eat, you're calling on insulin. Every time you're stressed without eating, you're calling on insulin. Okay. But you can mitigate that. How much insulin are you calling on when you eat? That's your question. How much? Is it a ton? And now you have a cell that's closed off to insulin. And so all of it's going to get stored as fat. And what kind of fat? Visceral fat, the dangerous fat. Okay. So you do have to watch your carbs. I always teach focus on protein, protein, protein. You can do any kind of resistance training, anything to build a muscle, anything to build a muscle, because muscles act like sponges for glucose. So get some bands. Okay. Do something, anything for your muscles. Walk after meals. It literally lowers your blood sugar right away. If you would go for a 10-minute walk after you ate, that would help so much. Sleep 7 to 9 hours. It resets your insulin sensitivity. If you don't get proper sleep, you are raising your insulin resistance and your cortisol the next day, every single time. And it gets harder and harder and harder to turn back around if you can't figure out your sleep. That's why it took, I was super intentional and focused on fixing my sleep. And now I get the best sleep of my life at 60. Okay. And for me, mine was my magnesium and my ashwagandha. If you feel like you have high cortisol, magnesium is good for everybody. If you feel like you have a little bit of high cortisol or you need help with your sleep, stress, mood, that's the ashwagandha. You can always ask me for those 2, the duo, and I can get you a cart for that. Those 2 for me have been phenomenal. Okay. The next one is to lower inflammation, cutting seed oils. Don't be eating all the processed keto food. Stop it. Stop going on programs where they're giving you more processed food. Like you have to stop the inflammation, toxins. You got to stop the, it doesn't even cost that much more. Like, I have in my line, I have a body care line that is, clean. clean. So instead of using, let's say Bath and Body Works, which is full of chemicals, just throw that stuff in the trash and get yourself something that is not going to be adding toxins to your skin. You can make these little tiny changes and that'll make a really big difference. Okay. The cure isn't in the pharmacy. It is in restoring how your body listens to insulin. That's what we're trying to do. So when I am working with people to accelerate their results, Lori, I'll send you both of those, the magnesium and the ashwagandha. I'll tell you, I'm in love with my ashwagandha and my magnesium. I just really am. For me, it's what has worked for me. And I didn't know why it was working so well, but I must just run higher cortisol. I didn't think I did, but I must. Your insulin resistance and you're struggling eating 3 meals a day and your sleep is an issue. If you eat, you're welcome, Lori. If you focus on protein, listen, eating 3 meals a day is not the goal. It's not the goal. I know we've been taught that. The goal is to have stable blood sugars and to be full and satiated and nourished. So I got up this morning and I had 3 eggs with a chicken sausage from, that one was from Costco, Parmesan and cracked black pepper. And so I don't know, maybe I'm at 33, 34 grams of protein. That won't spike my sugars and call on insulin. That's what you're looking to accomplish. That's what you're looking to accomplish. Then if I'm not hungry for 5 hours, hallelujah. Praise of the Lord. We don't want to be eating all the time because we're calling on insulin all the time. So your goal isn't 3 meals. Your goal is high protein. That's not spiking your sugars. That's your goal. High protein, moderate, really good carbs, moderate, really good fat, like butter, lard, ghee, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, and then very low carbs, 20 or less a day. Full, not net. Okay. Yep. I will send you the magnesium and the ashwagandha. I will send that to you when I get off of here. And Tina, I will send that to you. Absolutely. So let me run through just what the total body reset looks like for anybody that wants to accelerate their insulin resistance to insulin sensitivity. Okay. I always take like 3 minutes at the very end of every day. And I share this with you because listen, the results speak for themselves. I have so many people getting so many results. And I mean from fatty liver conversations to getting off of meds to, losing fat, losing just, I was going to say A1C points, but you don't really lose those. You bring those down, bringing down A1C points, bringing down blood sugar levels in general, like those morning sugars, doing all of these types of things. And so I'm going to show you how we do it. I focus on 3 things. I focus on the liver, the gut, and insulin. The liver, the gut, and insulin. And if you pay no attention to anything else that I say, but you walk away today and you say, I'm going to pay attention to my liver, my gut, and my insulin, you will be so happy that you did that. This is how I have done that. So when I started to supplement, which I was not a supplementer, I started with these 3 supplements. One is like a capsule and the other 2 are tablets. And I started with those when I was a 2X and so addicted to sugar. And what do they help with? Liver, insulin, sugars, and metabolism. Okay. And they fully supported me in losing 3 sizes in my 50s. And that's literally what I did. Okay. Now you guys have more options. And that's why the total body reset gets better results. You guys crush my results because of it. Okay. So these 3 are called the trio. So when you look at my site, remember I just showed you my site, which is my first last name.com, Kirsten Liebelt.com. And you see my name right at the top. Can you see my name? I'll show that to everybody. You can see my name, right? .com, no space, Kirsten Liebelt.com. At the top, this first one is the trio of what I just showed you. Okay. Now I'm going to talk to you about the rest of the pieces, and then you're going to be able to see those in there. So the next thing is the gut primer and the probiotic. When they launched this, I was super happy to hear the results that people were getting, but it was so strong, even within myself, that I have not stopped. It's not something that I'm going to change because I think that, and I still have my gallbladder. I've never had my gallbladder removed. So for somebody who's had their gallbladder removed, this is even a bigger deal. But again, liver, 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 liver. So it's 6 different blends all in one tub container. It's just green tea, turmeric-y, gingery, very fresh. I had somebody that bought it. They love it. I don't love it. I'm like, I wish it was chocolate, but it's not. Okay, move on. But this is what I do. I just mix it in my cold water. And I only use about this much every morning. And I take it just like a shot. That's what I do every day. But those 6 blends, it's not just a greens product. We're talking like the pre-postbiotics and the digestive enzymes, the fermented greens, all of the things that you need. So for people who are like, listen, your bloating is out of control. Your indigestion is all the time. You had your gallbladder removed and your liver is so sluggish. You know that if you don't change the filter on your liver, like you would change the filter on the oil of your car, like you need to do that. And the 2 things that most women need to know is that if your liver is sluggish, and notice that there was a liver in the trio too. So notice the layering of help for your liver. You will never burn fat if you have a sluggish liver or high insulin. And you don't even know you have high insulin. You're like, well, why can't I burn a pound of fat? Because you have high insulin. But I didn't know I had high insulin. I know you didn't, because you didn't have a fasting insulin test given to you by your doctor. Well, why didn't my doctor give me that? Well, I don't know. Why don't you ask your doctor why they don't do a fasting insulin test? Somebody could have told me at 22, 20 freaking 2, they could have told me I was insulin resistant. I'm just telling you, like long before I was a 2X and addicted to sugar and 50 years old and I felt like trash. And I was like watching the sores on my body to see if they would heal because my dad died of type 2 diabetes. Like, I don't know why they don't tell us this stuff, but that's, you're amazing, Joan. Tina, yeah, I know, right? 20 grams. It's not as, this is why I do the 5-day free challenge. It's not as hard as you think it is. It's not. But that's why I have to teach it in the group so I can go into depth with ingredient trade-outs as an Italian girl. Okay, so step 2, the gut primer and a probiotic. These are 5 live strains. Put them on my tongue every day, just like that. Kind of tastes like the bottom of a cereal bag. I know that's weird. I like that. But this is the gut reset. So that's one of those 4 buttons, okay? And then the last one is the orange pixie stick. Now, this is on back order. This is what you have to know. You can still order it when it's on back order. You guys are very blessed and highly favored. The fact that it's not temporarily out of stock. Because what they'll do is they won't charge you for it. And they will just ship it the second it's available. And it's going to be available literally any day now. In fact, I'm going to take 2 seconds and I'm going to check it for you to see if it's today. That's how close we are to it being available. So don't let that stop you from grabbing it and getting in line for it to get shipped to you. Now, this is what it does. This is why you care. You care because it targets visceral fat, 922. So in a couple of days, it targets visceral fat. And you guys, come on. This is where I'm like, oh, if I could just get people to understand. So when your insulin cannot get your sugar into your cell for energy, it lays it down as fat in your liver, pancreas, around your organs, all of those things. So I even have somebody with an MRI that has watched her fatty liver gone from bad to mild by doing this total body protocol. And I know that this is, because this comes right out of the sports nutrition line. Tastes like candy, orange candy. It's like an orange pixie stick, just like when you were a kid. You put it on your tongue, tastes amazing, but it's targeting. It's the claim is literally, and it's true, because now I have visceral fat scans from you guys. And they would never compromise their brand ever. Visceral fat scans going down, MRI changing on a fatty liver. It's coming from the sports nutrition line, and it's a clinical dose of an extract. So what happens is you end up losing inches from the inside out. So inside is taking care of your visceral fat, but outside you're measuring here, measuring under your bra, your hips, and your waist. So for her, over the course of a year, where she was doing the total body reset, etc., she lost 6 inches from under her bra, 5 inches off her waist, 3 inches off of her hips. That's because of this, along with the other pieces. So I just want you to understand the pieces. You're having daily problems without your gallbladder. I know, Linda, I know. It's a challenge, right? But you absolutely can. I know you guys are amazing to advocate for yourself always. You have to. You have to. So hold on. Question your doctor when they say you are normal, but the fasting insulin is high. That's one to question. What's my fasting insulin? Can I get that taken? What's that number? That's what you want to know. And then they say your labs are fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Say, but my fasting insulin is way too high. I'm not fine. And I can't guarantee anything. Most of them have no clue. They just don't. It's not what they're trained in. Because you're supposed to go to an endocrinologist. You're supposed to go to a specialist for everything. Anyway, you're 100 pounds overweight and recent bilateral above knee amputee, type 2 on board. You're going to do this because you can't get your prosthetics until you lose weight. That's a huge goal, Lori. That's a huge goal. Well, I'm going to tell you. So one of my clients last year, because I don't know how old you are and you don't even have to tell me, but she was 74. And when she was doing the total body reset, now understand, we're talking about food and supplementation both at the same time. Okay. And she did that. And in 5 months at 74, she lost 45 pounds. So your age has nothing to do with us. This is about your metabolic dysfunction. This is a cellular conversation. It's a hormonal conversation. So it's not about your age. So don't let that limiting belief in your head tell you you're too old, you're too far gone, you're too whatever. Don't do that, okay? Now, I do 59, so you're right where I am, Lori. I'm 60. I'll turn 61 in January. And I will wrap up with this. Listen, if you have any questions, if you feel like anything that I said today was confusing, about the different supplementation conversations, etc., get into my messenger on FB, get into my DM on IG, Insta. Talk to me and tell me that you have a question. Say, I didn't quite get that. Should I be only getting the trio? Should I be getting the full total body reset? What's the best way for me? And I will tell you. I'll tell you if you only, if you think you only need the trio, perfect. Let's get you started where you need to get started. But I am going to tell you this. So there's that customer campaign that hangs out there. And what that is that when you purchase $150 or more 3 months in a row, on your third month, you're going to get $75 off. And I'm telling you, nobody that I know is paying you for your health journey. They're just not doing that because you can't take it off of your HSA. You can't submit it to insurance. But this is a way that you can finally feel like you are getting rewarded for consistency and for actually advocating and taking care of yourself finally. So what that looks like is September, October, November, you would cash in on November. Okay. And today is we're getting to the end of September. So you actually can double dip, so to speak. You can do September, October, you could do September, October, November. And by the beginning of November, which is in only 40 days, you literally could have cashed in already because you're that close to the end. And then you can sneak in on the beginning. So you can do it however you want to do it. But I want you to know you have to register with your name. You have to register for your free account. Do not check out as a guest because you can't go back and retroactively fix that. And that's I'm so guarding of that for you guys. I'm no. So make sure that you register as a customer with your name at the top of when you see the carts of the different products, go to the top of the page. There's a person icon, head and shoulders, like a little head and shoulders. Click on that and register as a customer with your name. Okay. And when I have buttons on my website, those are all carts that are filled with exactly what you're looking for. So there's no hunting and pecking. Okay. But ask me questions. Don't sabotage yourself again. Don't do that. And Nobody knows self-sabotage probably better than I do. I was a master at self-sabotage. I still am always assessing myself. It's like, oh, come on, stop pushing that envelope. I do the same things, you guys. We're all the same. We're all trying to get over the tracks in our heads and the emotional connections to food from our childhood and all of the things, the mean things that we say to ourselves. We're all working on it. We're a work in progress, right? So there you go. All right. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget, I'm off on Thursday and Friday. I'm going out of town for a business conference. I'm going to go from Minnesota to Louisville, Kentucky. So I'm very excited about that. And if you need anything, let me know. I will be available today and chat with you soon. So have a good day, you guys. Love you so much. You guys are loved. Just remember that. Okay. See you later.